Welcome to Technology Blows, a techno-pessimist podcast where we explore all the ways technological innovation sucks up time and money and makes life worse. I'm your host, Dan Slimman, and my guest for this episode is my friend, ER vet, and occasional purchaser of food, Jackie Canny. Jackie, welcome to the pod.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Jackie. I'm so excited for this episode. This is like very Connecticut inside baseball, and and I love that we found out kind of accidentally that we both feel very passionately about this topic.
So passionate. Yeah.
Yes.
So passionate about it.
Now, a couple weeks ago, you said something that made me so happy, which is that you used to be perfectly happy with your wireless headphones. You know, had no problem with your wireless headphones. They worked great. Yep. And then what happened?
Yep. And then I listened to your podcast, and I think that they heard your podcast and decided to just shit the bed completely. So, and now Keurigs are also following me everywhere that I go, like massive Keurigs. So you've gotten into the zeitgeist here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's Final Destination shit.
Yeah, I'm worried about what's going to happen after this podcast.
Yeah, you're going to have Marty following you around.
Yeah, I mean, I already have one, but now it's going to be a robot, so.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, for in case you don't know, Jackie's husband is named Marty.
Which is unfortunate given this podcast.
So you're going to be you're going to be doing a lot of double takes today.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. This is what we're trying to do with this podcast is like open people's eyes to the ways in which technology is failing them. Like a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to ignore this when it breaks and pay attention to it when it doesn't break. And I want to like get that into people's lives so they're angrier at technology because I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of Marty, in case anybody listening doesn't know what Marty is a robot at the supermarket in Connecticut and New York and Massachusetts that just rolls around the supermarket, getting in everybody's way, doing God knows what. He's 6'7", 130 pounds of pure largeness, and he's slow as hell. And for the remainder of this episode, I'm going to try to remember to refer to Marty as it rather than him to avoid carrying water for the Stop and Shop Corporation because they're very invested in having Marty be, a character with a personality rather than a soulless robot.
Yeah, it sounds similar to the stats of some head of state that we might all be familiar with.
It sounds very familiar. Yeah, that's a good point. But in this case, it is virtuous. Today, we're going to find out where exactly Marty came from and what makes Marty so widely hated by consumers like you and me. So, supermarkets are a weird thing, right? Right, Jackie?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. In concept, yeah. I could see where you're going maybe with that.
Supermarkets are fucking weird. So if you went grocery shopping in an American city in the 1920s, chances are you're going to a corner store which is entirely different from a modern supermarket. That whole idea of a supermarket didn't exist. You would go to this corner store and first of all, the goods wouldn't be stocked nicely on shelves in neat patterns. They're mostly in like crates or buckets or just out loose. And you don't touch anything. You tell the grocer, you give the grocer your list of stuff you want. You usually haggle with him over the price of everything. And then he takes down your order, and a little while later, your groceries get delivered to your house. That's how it used to work buying groceries in a city in the United States. Which sounds okay. That sounds fine to me.
Well, yeah, it kind of sounds. Yeah, I like the haggling.
Yeah,
back and forth.
I can haggle. At least I'm talking to a person if I'm haggling.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I guess you can still get your groceries delivered to your house with apps now. We reinvented, food delivery to your house, but I don't usually. I go to the store. And if I got it delivered to my house, how would I know it has the right amount of E. coli on it? in the 1920s, this food's all sitting around in open air. People are just picking it out of the box with bare hands, right? It's probably got like just the right amount of
Yeah,
bacteria.
just enough to keep you going.
Yeah, exactly. It's healthy. It's natural. I think. By the way, I get all my health advice from RFK Jr.
Yeah, it's becoming obvious.
The first chain grocery store in the U.S. is uh, so it's got a very silly name, and it still exists in some parts of the South and also eastern Wisconsin. It's called Piggly Wiggly.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Stop
Piggly
it.
Wiggly, huge
No. They were the
visionaries.
first.
Yeah,
They were the
Piggly Wiggly.
first.
It's got a cute little pig logo. Yeah, yeah, they were the
I
first
can't.
chain grocery store
No.
to have. They invented putting the products on shelves instead of just having them in buckets.
That must have been mind blowing. The
It was.
technology. I mean, imagine.
Right. They went to the owner of Piggly Wiggly must have gone to like the 1910 World's Fair and been like, shelves, these are going to be huge. There was no haggling anymore, right? Because everything's labeled with a price tag. And the interior of the shop is a lot brighter and cleaner, a lot less natural, if you ask me. And these take off. So like we start to see in response to like how many chain grocery stores there are, we start to see standard shaped cans and packages for food, for like processed food with like appealing logos on them that are supposed to be placed in a certain way to make an appealing design on the store shelf. That sort of stuff starts happening with Piggly Wiggly.
Every time you say
I
Piggly
know, I know.
Wiggly. I
Yeah, I'm
can't.
gonna start throwing it into sections of the script that it's not even in, just to get a little cheap laugh. Uh, it's also around this time that we first start getting shopping carts. So like which really clean up the floor plan of a grocery store, right? You start to see these big, wide, straight aisles with the items on either side as you walk down it, so you can just pull things off the shelf, put them in the cart. The classic, American grocery shopping experience that we all know and love. Like a little bit of adult contemporary music on the PA.
Mhm.
You're pushing around your shopping cart. You occasionally picking up a can or a box and holding it in front of your face. Maybe you run into Rhonda from church and have a chat about last night's episode of Sullivan. Just like very iconic American shit. It turns out this is way more profitable than running a corner grocery store.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Who knew? Who knew?
The
Uh,
haggling? We didn't want to keep the haggling.
right. Right. Well, yeah, they realized like, wait, we just have all the food. We don't need to haggle with anybody. And also, you make a lot more. You make a lot more like impulse buys if everything's out on
Sure.
shelves and you have to walk around the whole store to get to where what you're looking for, rather than just like giving your list to the grocer. You end up buying a lot more stuff, which
Yeah.
is great for the stores. This is incidentally is why in supermarkets now they have the middle section is like all processed foods, and then around the outside they have all the stuff where they make their actual margins, like the dairy and the produce and the
Yeah.
fish and everything goes around the outside, because so that you have to walk all the way around the store and pass all the aisles where you might see something that you want and buy that.
So much sense because I get kind of annoyed, especially at these like massive supermarkets where I'm just like, why is everything that I need on either side of the walls? But now it's all part of the design. Okay.
They've thought of everything. I
Now
mean,
I'm
the
gonna just
modern.
be even more mad walking
Yeah,
around the
great.
supermarket.
Great, bring it on. Yeah, I can't even. They always seem to be playing "Jar of Hearts" by Christina. Christina Jar of Hearts. by Christina Perri. They all seem to be playing Jar of Hearts by Christina Perri, which is one of my least favorite songs, and it's on the PA. It's on like the Stop and Shop playlist every time I go. And I can't not focus on. Some people can just like tune out the PA while they're there and not hear the ads and all the constant prattle, but I can't do it. It pisses me off every time.
No. And the other awful, this is a sick aside thing, but the other awful thing is that they're like, when they're trying to like page someone, the like first ding sound that they use is the same that we have in the veterinary hospital to say that there's like a
Oh
code and everyone
no.
needs to run to go do CPR. And so all of the veterinarians and staff that I work with like get triggered every time that they're in a grocery store. It's bad.
Holy crap. That's
It's
awful,
bad.
Jackie.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Can't
It's just
can't you
like
get the hospital
PTSD.
to can't you get the hospital to change the sound?
See, in my mind, the grocery store should be changing theirs.
That's true. That's true. They're the ones that suck.
Yeah, exactly.
So supermarkets like piss everybody off. There are lots of things about supermarkets that we all hate, but they are highly standardized, highly profit optimized stores where every square inch of every surface has been meticulously designed to maximize people making impulse purchases or buying the things that have the highest margin. It's all very, very carefully planned out. So the companies that sell food to the supermarkets, the manufacturers of processed foods or the like big farm chains that sell them their produce would really love to be able to get that primo shelf real estate. That's what's going to really drive their businesses if they you can get Stop and Shop to put their product in like, at eye level near the end of the row, or better yet, like an end cap where they're all the products are arranged in like a nice little display at the end of the aisle. That's called an end cap. But up until like the 1980s, they don't really have anything to offer the supermarkets in exchange for better placement of their products. Like they would be willing to sell their products to the supermarkets at a substantial discount in exchange for better placement on the shelf, but they're not allowed to do that. That's pricing discrimination, and that's illegal. It's illegal thanks to the Robinson-Patman Act, which was passed in 1936 as part of the New Deal. For example, like if you're Nabisco, you're not allowed to sell 100 cases of Oreos to Walmart for $100 a 25-pound case, and then turn around and offer 100 cases of Oreos to like Gino's Market down the street for $120 a case. That's a violation of the Robinson-Patman Act. The FTC will come get you.
That's still in
Until
place.
until you guessed where that was going. So in the 1980s, finally, under the bright star in
Finally.
the night sky of Ronald Reagan, the Federal Trade Commission pretty
Great.
much entirely stopped enforcing the Robinson-Patman Act.
No, I'm surprised he doesn't show up more often in your podcasts. So
He shows up.
seems right.
Yeah. I mean, he's God. What an icon. I would like to get more opportunities to talk about Ronald Reagan, but the problem is there's so many terrible people to talk about.
Everybody does.
He was really an incredible doer of bad things. So yeah, they're not enforced. They don't enforce it. They're like, oh well, business, like, let businesses grow. Businesses should be able to be as big as they want, and nobody should tax them. And so just like let them do whatever they want. That's the Ronald Reagan way. So what happens is as a result of this is exactly what you think would happen.
Life
Walmart.
got better.
Yeah, yeah, right. You go spot on. I said Walmart. You were like, life got better, because obviously that's what we associate with Walmart every time
Yeah.
Walmart comes up. Walmart figures out they can like negotiate. They're big. They're getting bigger. They can negotiate preferential discounts from all of their vendors, so they can start lowering prices on many of the items in their store, lower than any of their local competition who don't get those discounts, and drive all the other markets out of business, which
That's good.
rules.
Yeah, life is really good because of that. We're thriving here. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Nothing bad happened.
And then everything was great. And then now we live in a utopia, right? So like everybody starts doing this because it works for so well for Walmart, and there's this avalanche of supermarket consolidation over the next several decades through mergers and acquisitions. They're all like cannibalizing each other and making bigger and bigger supermarket chains. Today, more than half of all US food sales go to just 8 brands of supermarket. And 65% of the food consumed in US households is purchased at supermarkets, warehouse clubs, and supercenters. This is just like basically how we get food now in this country. That's up from 35. So as of 1990, it was 35% of food consumed in US
No
households was
way.
purchased at supermarkets. So that it's up to 65% in the last like 30 years. So supermarkets really have a lot to be thankful to Ronald Reagan for. As do we
And we all
all.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I say, thank you, Ronald Reagan,
Yeah.
for everything that you did. Yeah.
Same. Sometimes I keep my wife awake chanting it in my sleep.
She has told me about that.
Jackie, what are you most thankful to Ronald Reagan for?
Oh my God, there's so much to be
There's so
thankful
much.
for. War on drugs.
Oh God, yeah. I'm so happy we don't have drugs anymore.
Yeah, that problem was solved.
I personally am most thankful for the deregulation of healthcare. I think that was great.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that. Of
The brutal authoritarian regime in Nicaragua has got to be a close second.
course, of course.
Anyway, so now that we're done talking about it, I think that's all we need to talk about Ronald Reagan. I think we're done with Reagan.
Yeah, I
Although he
think
might,
that
who
we've
knows,
made
he might come
our.
out.
Yeah.
He might come up later. If anybody's wondering, this is a Ronald Reagan cast. So like this consolidation of everybody getting bigger and bigger also extends to the producers of food, the food vendors, because they realize, well, if there's one big vendor, that has a much better negotiating position than like a bunch of little vendors. So if we all need to like group up into bigger companies so we can get better deals from the supermarkets. This is exactly the kind of thing that the Robinson-Patman Act was explicitly put in place to prevent. Yeah, so it's great news for the few companies that end up huge as a result of this scramble, and it's awful news for basically every other class of person in America, especially consumers. And especially consumers in rural areas and poor urban areas where it's not profitable to build a whole supermarket. Many of these areas become what are called food deserts. Have you heard of food deserts?
Yeah, I visited kind of one of the poorer areas of the country in South Dakota on one of the reservations out there, and it like is a very different way of life, and really challenging to get really good nutrition. And there's no big supermarket, and so then all of the local stores don't have as good of a choice of produce, which is a challenge.
Yes. All over the country, there are places like that. And that's not a thing that really existed before supermarkets. Before supermarkets existed to drive all the local markets out of business and replace them. So, you know, another thing to thank Daddy Reagan for. God rest his soul.
We weren't done. We thought we were done,
We
but
I thought
now
we
I
were
think
done,
we're
but
done. We're done.
it turns out he just keeps coming into the story. Anyway, so one of these big fish remaining after this struggle is a company called Ahold Delhaize. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong. There, it's Dutch. Dutch cannot be pronounced by human mouths. So,
Beautiful language.
oh yeah, I I would imitate it, but I would immediately be canceled off the. I would have my podcast license revoked. Anyway, Ahold Delhaize is the name of this company. They're a conglomerate in the Netherlands that by the late 2010s owns a shitload of supermarket brands, including around 1,000 Food Lions dotting the mid-Atlantic region from Georgia all the way up to Pennsylvania. They have 350 giant supermarkets serving mostly Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. They have around 180 Hannafords, scattered across northern New England and down along the Hudson River Valley. And then finally, they have around 350 stop and shops, which are concentrated in southern New England, but whose domain stretches all the way from Rhode Island down to Toms River, New Jersey. Now, you and I, Jackie, live in Connecticut, which is stop and shop country. Do you stop at stop at shop and shop?
Stoppo?
Do you
I
stoppo
used
at the
to.
shopo?
I Stoppo Shoppo sometimes. I used to, and then there was this massive robot, and also, uh, and their self checkout is like the worst self checkout that has ever existed, and I
That
rage every
sucks.
time. So I stopped going to Stop and Shop unless I like absolutely have to. Um, yeah, those are my feelings of Stop and Shop.
You know, unfortunately, it's a little too convenient for me to quit it,
No.
I probably, I don't know. I should do. I'm planning to do an episode on self checkouts at some point because that whole system is a whole other thing that pisses me off every time I go to the grocery store. It's like the grocery store is designed to make me so furious. So yeah, I shop at Stop and Shop, and Stop and Shop has a huge amount of power in our state because in a lot of areas it's the only place to buy groceries. They have the power to do things like suppress labor prices. They have the power to extract deep discounts from suppliers, and perversely, even though they do so much to make sure that their supplier prices are down, Stop and Shop also has the power to keep food prices artificially high in a lot of regions. Because again, like if you live in fucking Lebanon and you need to do a grocery run, you're probably headed either to the Stop and Shop in Colchester or the Stop and Shop in Willimantic.
Okay.
Otherwise you're going to drive. You have to drive another 15 minutes to the next grocery store. So they can kind of charge whatever they want. It's great. And so and like every supermarket, Stop and Shop has to play this constant game where they're making small tweaks to the price of all the items. They're where the items are on the shelves and all this, which is profitable at scale because it lets them get all these like sweet deals with different suppliers, and it lets them eke out a cent or two of profit margin on one or the other item here and there, and that adds up when you're making as many sales as 350 Stop and Shops do. So and it's rather labor intensive to do all this, right? Like employees have to
Yeah.
walk up and down all the aisles, check the prices, make sure everything's in stocked and in compliance with the planogram, which is the master diagram where all the items are supposed to be placed on the shelves. Like it takes they estimate it takes like 80 labor hours or more to check all this stuff for the whole supermarket, and then you just got to start right back over. So it's very labor intensive.
Yeah.
And this is the situation in late 2018 when workers at Stop and Shop are in the process of negotiating a new contract with Stop and Shop. Their current contract is set to expire on February 23rd, 2019. And Stop and Shop corporate is just salivating at the chance to fuck these workers over. They want to eliminate premium pay on national holidays and Sundays. They want to eliminate any raises. They want to reduce their pension contributions massively, increase employee healthcare costs. They're just like, what more can we do to make these people's lives a living hell? And that's where their heads are at.
They're leaving nothing on the table there.
Yeah. Yeah. How about no? How about you get nothing is Stop and
Yeah.
Shop's attitude. So they're looking to put some pressure on these labor unions, show them they can't push little old Stop and Shop around anymore. And in January of 2019, Stop and Shop announces they're going to deploy a new fleet of hyper efficient, perfectly obedient retail robots to extend their teams, which they're leasing from a company called Badger Technologies. This is how they refer to him too. Every time they refer to Marty, they're like Marty is a member of our valued member of our team who helps associates spend less time restocking shelves and more time doing what they love to do, which is interfacing with customers.
Everybody loves to interface with customers. Nobody wants break from
Yeah,
that.
that's if I know one thing about retail, It's customers are always great, and we love talking to them.
Yeah, they're so great.
So Badger Technologies is founded by this guy Tim Rowland. Tim Rowland worked as an engineer for IBM for a decade, and for Lexmark, the printer ink manufacturer,
Yep.
for almost 2 decades. And which if somebody went through Lexmark, there's something wrong with their moral compass, because like
Oh my god.
the amount that they charge for printer ink is just criminal.
It's highway robbery.
It's really bad. And so Roland, he leaves Lexmark in 2017, and he founds this company to build robots for retail applications. And within the year, his company Badger gets acquired by this multinational manufacturing conglomerate called J-Bill. I've never heard of it either. It's large. I think they have a lot of defense contracts. There seems to be a revolving door between like the defense industry and Badger Technologies for various reasons.
Not surprised.
Yeah, not surprising. That's what you do when you can build robots. So Badger Technologies develops their robot called Marty, which the company claims is an acronym for Mobile Autonomous Robot Technology,
So lame.
which is so fucking lame.
It's so lame. How did they get the
doesn't-
Y? It doesn't make sense. I guess the technology, like at the
Technology.
No.
I don't
E.
maybe.
No.
It's
It's
so
lame.
lame. I think it's
it.
probably, it must got to be a backronym, right? Where they were like, well, Mart is short for market, and so its name should be Marty. How do we make that into an acronym? Just like fuck
They're
off.
not selling it here. Yeah.
Call it the Badger Technologies like JF 9000 or whatever, or just call it Marty.
Yeah,
Say
Badger's
his
a cool
is
name.
Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Badger's a cool name, right? What?
Badger's a really cool name, but like I don't know.
You can't fool us. Marty's not my friend. Marty. So let me describe Marty. Marty looks like if beloved children's character Gumby had unprotected sex with a Roomba.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's what I
I
see
was like,
every
how
time
is he
I look
gonna
at it.
describe this? Oh my god, now I'm gonna think about if I ever cross paths with that guy again.
He's got this like bulky squarish part at the bottom, which is the Roomba part, maybe 2 feet on his side, 1.5 feet high, matte black rubber, bumper section. And then he's got, I said he again. It has what I'll call a stem, which is a narrow sort of toothbrush handle looking dark gray part that extends upward from the base, and it comes to about 6.5 feet high off the ground. The stem is where most of the sensors are. It's covered in like cameras and glowing blue lights and shit. And finally, Marty has sort of a hammerhead shark looking ass head with a glowing blue unibrow over 2 huge googly eyes.
Googly eyes make it.
We'll talk about the googly eyes. The googly eyes are
Well,
so
we
important.
better be talking about the googly eyes.
The googly eyes are much more important, in my opinion, than any of the cameras to what makes
Agree.
Marty work well for Stop and Shop. Yeah, so basically what Marty does is it wanders around the supermarket at about 1 mile an hour, getting in everyone's way. You're just trying to get to the sliced cheese, and here comes this lumbering fool to block the goddamn aisle and start twirling around because it can't figure out which way to go. It's like, move, dipshit. You're not even here to buy anything.
I mean, it's bad enough with all the old people around, but then you throw this guy in here and it's just chaos. Chaos.
Yeah. He's also a big old creeper. Like sometimes I'll be focused on, I'll be like squeezing tomatoes to see if they're ripe, and I'll turn around to grab a plastic bag, and this lanky ass weirdo will be 2 feet away from me, just staring down at me with its lifeless eyes.
The worst is when you're like coming around like a corner, just expecting like normal shoppers, and then there he is. And I've literally like backed away and then like went somewhere else just to avoid him.
And he sort of turns around as you're walking
The
around.
slow turn.
Yeah. I think they should build like a fan and a heating coil into Marty so that it can like breathe hot breath on people's neck while it's standing behind them. I think that would really
It
complete the
basically
picture.
does that already. It's just
Yeah,
putting
that's true.
it.
He's like irradiating you with 5G. Yeah, so speaking of the eyes, Marty didn't always have eyes. The person who came up with the idea for the googly eyes was Tina Song, an employee at a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania supermarket. And the googly eyes are, like I said, what makes Marty worthwhile for Stop and Shop to have because they turn Marty from like a menacing piece of machinery into something that at least children can look at and think is cute.
Do they have to like custom make the eyes, or is that just something that you can like buy on the
She
internet
went
or
to
at like a party
Tina Song
store?
went to like a Marshalls or whatever, and Michaels. Which one's the craft
My
store?
goals?
Michaels. She went to a Michaels or whatever and got like giant googly eyes. They had them, and she just like popped them on there.
I don't know if I'm like really happy with Tina's song right now, or like it's just like, why'd you lean in there, Tina? Why'd you lean in?
Right. You don't have to be extra. This is not. They're not paying you
Oh.
to make the robot cute.
Did she get a bonus or something on that? No.
I don't think so. I would assume, based on what I know about Stop and Shop and its labor practices, she did not.
She got a wiki mention.
She might have gotten like an Amazon gift card or something.
Stop and Shop gift card.
So, but it worked. It worked great. Like, even though it was a terrible, she didn't know what she was doing. She was just like, oh, this robot's kind of weird looking. I'll put some eyes on it. She had no idea what she was doing when she did that, which has done a lot of damage to the culture of New England and New York, I think. Anyway, so Marty has two main jobs that it actually is supposed to do. It one wanders the store looking for spills. This is what you see if you go there. This is what it's doing. As it like wanders around sort of aimlessly and spins around, and this is what it's doing. It's trying to find like anything that's spilled on the floor that somebody could slip on that would be dangerous. According to a white paper put out by Badger Technologies, in its slip prevention capacity, quote, the robot pays for itself in a matter of months by reducing falls and the losses from expensive lawsuits, settlements, and lost associate productivity.
I have not once heard of somebody having like a catastrophic fall in a supermarket to the point of claiming that this robot was doing something so special and so great. Like, have you? Am I just like an outlier?
I think you're 100% right, Jackie. I did see somebody fall in a Stop and Shop one time, but they passed out. They didn't slip on something. They like passed out and fell to the floor. I've never seen anybody slip. I've never talked to anybody who like slipped at the supermarket and felt they might sue. This is not
Like,
I
it
don't know.
definitely happens. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but like to the point of then like going to a defense contract company,
Right.
acquiring a robot, putting googly eyes on said robot, and then reporting on the googly eyed robot and how great it
Right.
is because it prevents slips. Like,
I think largely they introduced the robot because it was something they could do to put pressure on the labor strike, but I can't prove that. To be like, hey, we're
yeah.
replacing you with this robot. And that was the main thing they were trying. I think that was the main thing they were trying to achieve because this sounds completely implausible to me that this is going to pay for itself. This thing costs $35,000 to $50,000 a year per store. Are you really getting $30,000 to $50,000 a year in like legal fees per store for people who like claim to slip and fall? And if so, also that's not my problem. Like, why you can't? It's not. You shouldn't be able to make that my problem by putting this ugly ass robot in the store to get in my way all the time. It doesn't even clean up the spills, right?
It
Like it.
doesn't?
No, 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 no. It rolls around until it happens across what it thinks is a spill, and then it stops, and its lights switch from blue to yellow to warn customers away.
What if there's multiple spills?
You know, then Marty, they need multiple Martys. Here, I'm going to show you a clip. I'm going to show you a clip of Marty in action here.
Caution, hazard detected. Precaución, peligro detectado. Caution.
So that's what he does. That's what it does. As now, one thing you may notice about that video is there's nothing there. There's no spill.
Not a spill around. Nope.
It goes caution, hazard detected, and then something. I don't know enough Spanish to know exactly what it says. Something caución, peligro detectado, and it flashes yellow, and it tells everybody like, get away, it's dangerous over here.
He gets 1 point in the win column for being bilingual. I will give him that.
Sure.
I'll give him that.
They should do it in. I would prefer to hear it in French, but it's probably more useful to have it in Spanish in the United States.
Well,
I wonder if the ones in Hannaford do it in French.
that's a good point.
The other thing Marty does is he checks prices. So it has 5 cameras on its stem, and it goes up and down the aisles, I think every morning, and shines a bright light on each section of the aisle and checks to make sure all of the prices match what's in the store's database, and the locations of the items match what's in the store's database, and there's nothing out of stock.
So technology works all of the time, and it's really great, and it never has an issue. I can't imagine that there's any inventory issues related to Marty checking prices based off of a database that I'm assuming a person is supposed to be responsible for.
Yeah, that's a great point, because there's many places in this chain at which they can fail to put things in properly or get it right. I mean, Marty makes mistakes, but also the manager updating the database makes some mistakes. There's like discrepancies between prices in different places, in like where they're written down in different places. There's lots of different ways that this can go wrong. Marty, according to Badger Technologies, is better at this than a person. And I maybe believe it. I don't know. I could believe that because a person, it's tedious work that you would get distracted while you're checking all the prices. But is it worth it? No. According to that white paper from before, Badger Technologies conducted rigorous side-by-side comparison tests in which the robot and human personnel were asked to report out-of-stock conditions on identical aisles. And they tested to see which one is faster, which is like a modern John Henry epic style competition, but instead of like a folk hero racing against a steam drill, it's this dorky ass robot against some bored teenager named Zayden making minimum wage.
That's like a controlled environment. So then, like, what happens when I am transversing like one side of the grocery store and then like through their little trap to get me to buy more stuff, and I pick something up and I'm in a different aisle and I'm like, you know what? I really don't want that. And the grocery store is so massive that I'm not returning it back to its original spot. So I put it in the shelf because we all do it.
Yep.
We all do it.
Absolutely.
Is Marty recognizing that?
No.
Are we just trying to fuck with Marty now?
He doesn't do so. It doesn't. Of course, Badger is always making promises about new functionality that Marty will have once they implement an AI model or whatever the fuck they're saying this week. No, that's not going to happen. That's a person's job. Anyway, those are the two main things Marty does, at least as far as I can tell today. And for all this incredible functionality, one Marty will set you back somewhere between $35,000 and $50,000 a year, which puts Stop and Shop's overall Marty spend between about $12 million and $18 million a year.
Seems worth it for 2 functions.
For 2 functions that it doesn't even do well.
And the third of creeping out all the people who cross paths with Marty.
Absolutely. Like a grocery store manager would never hire a person and be like, okay, so your job is to wander around the store, kind of not looking where you're going and almost bumping into people until you find something that's spilled on the floor, and then like stand there and wave your arms and shout in English and Spanish. That would be completely unacceptable. So I don't see why it's acceptable when the robot does it.
I think I might enjoy that just as far as a novel experience of a person doing
Yeah,
something
actually.
like that. That might be endearing.
Right. All right. So Stop and Shop announces their Marty rollout in January of 2019. And I don't want to give the impression that like this was the main issue in the labor dispute. They already were working on their contract before this was announced. But certainly like Stop and Shop management had labor relations top of mind when they introduced Marty. And unions saw the timing of this rollout as like a direct affront. In any case, in March of 2019, UFCW Local 371 of Connecticut, which represents Stop and Shop associates throughout the state, authorizes a strike. Were you here for this strike, Jackie? I don't know when you moved to Connecticut.
No, I was still in New York during that time. And we had Wegmans. We weren't Stop and Shop people there.
Wagons.
And the good old days.
Wagons. It kind of ruled. It was kind of a good strike. Lasted 11 days, and the union leaders estimate Stop and Shop lost about $20 million a day during the strike, which kicks ass.
It's about like one Marty a day almost.
One Marty rolled out at one fleet of Martys a day. And it's a win for the union, although like the win is that they get to keep their same benefits and time and a half pay on Sundays and raises that they already had. So it's like, I don't know. That's kind of the best result you can hope for now in a labor strike in the post Daddy Reagan era. So we'll call it a win. Anyway, the strike's over. They're like everybody's back at work, but Marty stays on. And Marty's here to stay. And over the years, Badger has built more and more functionality into Marty with, as far as I can tell, not a ton of success selling it. They seem to be grasping at a lot of straws about like what can we make this robot do that's both feasible and marketable to supermarkets, and I don't think they have a lot of great ideas. So one thing Marty does, or at least one of the things Badger has built and offered for Marty to do, it's unclear whether anyone has taken them up on this, is UV cleaning.
UV cleaning?
UV cleaning. So they attach these big arms to it, and it goes around as it's scanning the shelves, and the arms have ultraviolet lights on them, and it goes through the aisles and just like shoots everything with ultraviolet light to kill like bacteria. Now, Jackie, as a medical professional, how does that strike you as a functionality for a supermarket robot?
Seems like it's going to work very well, Dan.
Really?
Follow-up question. Can Marty handle having arms when he can't handle having wheels?
Luckily, they're like fixed and attached rigidly to Marty's body. So he can't like swing them around and smack anybody, but he also can't hug.
It's so sad.
Yeah. I can't imagine the UV thing works very well. I don't know. I spoke to my wife about it, who's also a veterinarian, and her strong opinion was that like the main thing, like the main and kind of the only important thing if you're trying to prevent the spread of bacteria is cleaning. If everything's clean, you're like 90% of the way there.
Yeah, the UV would just be like on top of that, but not statistically helpful. Whatever she says, I trust.
Okay, good. Yeah, well then I'll maybe she won't listen to the episode, but Kristen, if you do happen to be listening, thanks for that little tidbit. Another function Badger has pitched for Marty is that Marty can have a screen attached to it and become part of your retail media network.
I've always wanted another thing to be part of my retail media network.
Yeah.
I've been asking for it. And finally someone listened.
How else are you going to know what deals there are and what deals you might be interested in? This is their big idea. Like stick an iPad on it and play ads as it's riding around the store. Retail media network is not a phrase that I knew before I researched this episode, and I wish I could go back to the time before I knew that was a term. So far, their retail media network seems to be just the prattle over the PA and then occasionally playing Jar of Hearts by Christina Perry.
Really targeting you specifically.
Yeah, I think so. I think I can't prove this, but I think Marty's doing facial recognition on just me and
Yeah.
modifying the playlist every time I come into the store.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. You should be, and he sounds like he's greeting you as well when you're squeezing your tomatoes.
yeah,
He taps you with his arm.
just leans over. Hey, Dan, I know you like Jar of Hearts by Christina Perry. Here. There's also a variant of Marty called Patrol Bot that Badger Technology makes, which is supposed to do like security guard work.
Does he identify himself differently? All these
Yeah.
robots are meant also.
It, well, for 100% sure, it does identify itself differently. It's yellow, I think, and it has like a big like a police light on the top of it.
Have a gun?
Well, no, and it doesn't. That's a great
I think it
question,
needs a
Jackie.
gun.
No, Badger Technologies doesn't have the brass balls to give Marty a gun. They're cowards.
I think Marty needs a gun.
That would really change the energy of the Stop and Shop. That guy, did you ever see that? Did you see that video of the guy who talks about how he like gives a little tutorial on how every time he comes to the grocery store before going in, he does like a visual inspection of the surroundings to make sure there's no threats, and he like assesses every okay, I'm looking over there, there's no threats over here, I don't see anybody carrying a gun, and now I'm going to prepared to enter the store.
Yeah, that guy's not going to Stop and Shop.
No. Or he is to get the thrill of like ducking down behind the apple cart every time he sees Marty. The patrol bot, I don't think, as far as I can tell, has not been a success. All it can really do is check the fire extinguishers, then make sure all the fire extinguishers are there and there's no like doors locked that aren't supposed to be locked and shit like that. And it only works if the environment is completely flat and clear of obstacles because it's a rolling robot. So how can that possibly be useful?
They got it as Marty to make sure that all the obstacles are clear.
Yeah.
The two are working in tandem.
Yeah, they're not even going to need staff anymore. In fact, they could probably replace the manager with a robot too. One thing Marty doesn't do is surveillance.
We sure about that?
I'm pretty sure, and I'll tell you why I'm sure. It's not because Badger Technologies says it doesn't. I don't trust that. But I went to Stop and Shop today just to check some stuff out before I record the podcast, and by my count, there are a total of 77 surveillance cameras at the Stop and Shop, 11 on the outside and 66 on the inside.
Dan, are you the guy that surveils the grocery store before going in? You can tell us.
That's just the obvious ones. I mean, I was just walking around like looking where that ever seemed to be a surveillance camera. There's probably more than that, and as far as I know, nobody's ever counted before. So I feel pretty proud that I did some original research for this episode.
Am I like flagged now?
Great.
On some sort of. Someone
goal.
has you flagged.
I got to get on some lists. You're not a real podcaster unless you're on some lists. It's the most heavily surveilled place that you go every week is the supermarket. And everywhere you stand, you're on like 2 or 3 cameras. So why would you need Marty to do surveillance when you have that many cameras, right? That's been the rumor. They've had rumors that Marty doesn't, that Marty is there to like stop people shoplifting or to spy on their purchasing habits. But I both for the reason that they're already heavily surveilled and they're already tracking you with the membership rewards program and probably your credit card. And also for the reason that I do not think Badger Technologies is competent to build a robot that would be good at surveillance. I don't think that that's what it actually does. In fact, Badger says Marty doesn't upload any imagery to the cloud. It says that it does all its work locally on the machine, and it only uploads images to the internet if it needs to be operated remotely, if it's like stuck in a corner and somebody has to take it over remotely and move it out of the corner. Then it uploads images to the internet so somebody can like pilot it. Now, I emailed them to be like, now you guys say that all the image is processed locally, but then you also say that it's uploaded to the cloud for piloting. So can the images that are uploaded to the cloud for the remote operation be used to like train AI models or spy on people or whatever? Do you have like the same privacy restrictions on those? They did not get back to me. So no answer on that yet.
We'll give them the benefit of the doubt, though. Yeah.
Yeah. They seem to be on the up and up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think at least for its stated purposes, Marty is largely a waste of money. For example, with spill detection, like we said, there's no way this box of bolts is actually preventing injuries. By Badger's own findings, Marty can take 8 trips through the store every day. So that's about 1 trip every 2 hours. So on average, from the time a spill happens to the time Marty would encounter that spill, you would expect it to be on average an hour and up to 2 hours before Marty finds the spill.
Long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to see it first, or somebody's going to slip on it first.
Yeah.
And that's assuming it's 100% successful at identifying spills. But Marty can't even detect a sugar spill, according to a Stop and Shop worker interviewed in 2020. You know, sugar is extremely slippery on a wax floor, maybe one of the most dangerous slip hazards you can have in a supermarket, especially since the floors are white. And Marty just rattles on by like, I didn't see nothing.
I gotta go see my guy Dan. Another aisle.
Yeah. I've watched many videos in which Marty detects a spill. I'll share some of them with you. As far as I can tell from any of the videos I've seen, there's no actual spill. So in this one, we can see there is an object on the floor. It looks like a small paper box that has fallen off of the rack and is resting on the floor partway below one of the shelves. I'm not the greatest walker. I'm not a very coordinated person. This does not look dangerous to me.
I mean, Marty disagrees, clearly. He's yelling in Spanish, English, whatever language he's programmed to yell in.
Yeah, this is freaking Marty out. Marty is like tripping balls right now looking at this little box on the floor. Here's another clip.
Precaución, peligro detectado.
Yeah, so in that one, it appears to be like a paper napkin or something that has got Marty all in a kerfuffle, and eventually an associate just comes by and presses the button on Marty to tell him to keep moving.
I like that he's not an anti-masker, though. He's got a nice little mask on, that Marty, you know?
Yep, he's staying safe. He's very bad at social distancing, though.
Terrible. He doesn't believe in that part.
Yeah, and in that one, you can clearly see the associate does this many times a day because this is part of working at Stop and Shop now. She's clearly like doesn't even think twice about it, just like boop. Which rules. Great productivity hack, Stop and Shop. All right, I have one more video to show you.
Where? Caution. Can you like laser point it?
Can't you like laser pointer it or something? So this is what it does. It just wastes everybody's time all day. And I looked pretty hard. I was not able to find a single video of Marty finding something that actually looked dangerous,
useful,
like a thing somebody might hurt themselves on. So what's the goddamn point, right? Well, Badger Technologies tells us what the goddamn point is in one of their brochures. Quote, "Some believe the mere presence of the robot and its robust technology is causing the legal community to shy away from obviously bogus claims." So Marty's not about keeping people safe. It's about Stop and Shop being able to protect itself from negligence claims, because it can be like, oh, Your Honor, would a negligent business spend $50,000 a year on a robot to keep its customers safe from banana peels? Right?
Passes through at least 1 to 2 times an hour. It doesn't save any information. Like, how are they proving then that if they're not saving the information that Marty is collecting somewhere, then how are they proving a case?
I would love to, if you're a Stop and Shop manager and you know the answer to that question, I'd love to interview you for the podcast, because I don't know the answer to that either. I think the idea is just that, like, if you're a super lazy lawsuit filer who slipped and, got injured at hired Carter Mario or whatever, that you're going to need to prove that Stop and Shop was negligent in not cleaning up the spill. And the presence of Marty and the amount that they're spending on Marty itself is evidence that, like, they're not negligent. Now, what if Marty's other stated purpose, price checking? Like, I don't doubt that it saves the supermarket money to have Marty check the prices instead of a human doing it. I think they probably save money on labor by having a robot do that job. But also, so what? As a shopper, why do I give a shit if Stop and Shop saves money? That's none of my concern.
No.
And it's not necessary, if it's only necessary because of all these games they're playing where they change the prices every day. Like, I go to a small Italian market down the street a lot. They don't need a robot. It's crawling with employees. Everybody's aware of everything happening in the store all the time. There's no need to have a industrial scale price checking effort every day, because they don't have to play these little games where they're tweaking the prices to get the extra little profit margin bumps.
Yeah.
Now, the prices at the Italian market are somewhat higher than Stop and Shop prices, sure, but the solution to that problem is not build a nationwide system of conglomerated superstores that use creepy robots to check all the prices. The solution is enforce the goddamn Robinson-Patman Act.
We have a local grocery store, Highland Park Market, who, like, is beloved by the community here because they have so many employees, pay them really well. They don't have a Marty, and seemingly no one slips.
Yeah, exactly. So they could enforce the Robinson-Patman Act, and then, suddenly we don't have this problem anymore. Or better yet, and I know this is my solution for everything, but I really think it would work. What if all the workers got together and seized the means of production? Just throwing that out there. That might be a fun idea. Somebody ought to look into that. I came up with it, though. That was my idea.
Not shelves, but you came up with that.
So this is all bullshit. It's spill detection is bullshit. It's price checking is socially harmful. But there is one role in which Marty actually pulls its weight, and then some. And that is Marty's role as a PR tool. Marty is pretty optimized for being a PR tool. For one thing, it's popular with kids. Kids like to give it hugs and take pictures with it. Go figure. I discourage it in my own daughter. I overheard another dad the other day in the produce department tell his sons, no, we're not going to take a picture with Marty. And when they asked why, he said, because I don't like robots, so I'm not alone.
It's good.
It's good. That's good parenting.
Surprised kids like it, though. Like, that they wouldn't be afraid. It's the googly eyes, I assume.
It's the googly eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's right. You can find lots of photos on social media of kids with Marty or hugging Marty or being excited to see Marty. I don't know. I don't get it. Stop and Shop celebrated Marty's first birthday in 2020 with a birthday party. Here's a local news story about it from WCVB Channel 5 Boston.
Marty, the googly-eyed robot that helps with store cleanup and surveillance, is celebrating its first birthday. It's been 1 year since the robot's rollout across over 300 Stop and Shop locations. Last January, shoppers celebrated the occasion with birthday cake and party activities. Something tells me that Marty probably didn't partake in any of the cake.
No, but you know how he celebrated? There was probably a cleanup on aisle 12 of birthday cake.
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. They dumped the birthday cake. Yeah. I didn't know that robot had a name, frankly.
I didn't either.
You know, it's so personable, though, with those googly eyes.
Well, now I'm going to go up and try and I'd say shake hands, but I don't think Marty has any arms.
It just makes me hate him more.
Same, Jackie, same. To have a birthday party for a robot, fuck off.
Who's also just like bad at his job. He hasn't proven himself. He's like the worst employee. He needs other people to help him do his job constantly.
But he has the most important characteristic for an employee, which is that he's perfectly obedient.
Do they give birthday parties for everybody else that works in Stop and Shop? Because I haven't seen a birthday party.
Almost certainly not. Yeah, just the robots. And also, I found the anchors in that news program disappointing for a Boston news program because, like, none of them was even holding a Dunkin' Donuts cup. Nobody brought out how much the Yankees suck. Like, you can do better, Boston.
Accents. At least have an accent.
Right. Maddie, this fucking dimwit. Another way Marty helps with PR is that Stop and Shop management is always trying to trot it out for charity events. They brought Marty to Fenway Park as part of their participation in Hunger Action Month, which is a national campaign held every September to raise awareness and inspire action to end hunger in America. It's essentially a charity drive, which, you know, it's cheap and convenient if you're Stop and Shop to participate in Hunger Action Month, because then you get to launder your reputation through a month-long Selfies with Marty charity drive once a year in support of underserved communities, they say, which are, of course, communities that Ahold Delhaize has been busting its ass for decades to underserve all year round.
I think he got there. Like a convertible, maybe?
I hope they had him walk.
At 1 mile an hour from the nearest Stop and Shop.
Yeah. I don't think he would be able to get through the door of the T. So it's a good question. Marty visits elementary school classes. Marty did a photo op where it hugged a cancer kid. Or I guess a cancer kid hugged it because Marty doesn't have arms. What a sad Make-A-Wish, right?
It's a horrible Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
I hate all of that. Also, what school is allowing Stop and Shop to come in with a robot to indoctrinate these children? This googly-eyed guy is fine.
Yeah.
Like, we should be excited about all of it. Oh my God.
It's exactly the same playbook as Officer Friendly. I don't know. Maybe it was a school that had a big problem with slip hazards, and they needed Marty to come in and do some safety marshaling.
Loves an assembly and like to get out of class, but how long do you think that meeting Marty would have taken? He explained both of his jobs that he's really, really bad at, and then what?
They could have it like roll around the classroom, but it would probably immediately stop because it doesn't know what carpets are.
Inspired a generation of young minds.
Yeah, I mean, somebody probably, you bring anything to enough classrooms, Marty will probably be the cause of somebody's sexual awakening, which we'll find out through their criminal record in about 30 years. I have not looked up if there's Rule 34 of Marty, but I bet it's out there. Hey, this is Dan just checking in after the fact. I looked it up. There is no Marty hentai on the internet, so everybody get on it. Yeah, so this is Marty's main job, I think, is like they have Marty plushies, they have Marty chew toys for dogs. It's all over the Stop and Shop Instagram. Marty's main job is to be a PR tool and to help launder Stop and Shop's reputation. And none of it would work without Tina Song, who stuck those giant googly eyes on it, right? She's the one who turned this creepy ass loser of a robot that doesn't even know how to spot a sugar spill into an Instagram star. I think Stop and Shop owes Tina Song like millions of dollars. Tina, if you're out there, I hope you got yours.
Yeah, otherwise he wouldn't be as charismatic, I imagine.
No, he's horrifying.
Ugly design,
without the
too.
eyes. Yeah.
Terrible
It's
design.
ugly as shit. Why would you even want that on your Instagram? Now, there is at least one very well documented case of a Stop and Shop customer benefiting concretely from the existence of Marty, or at least almost benefiting from the existence of Marty, not quite. But it wasn't as a spill cleaner upper or a price verifier. Marty served Michelle Troconis in a different way. Because in May of 2019, Connecticut blogger and writer Jennifer Dulos disappeared from her home. Her disappearance came after a series of disturbing interactions with her estranged husband, Fotis Dulos, that culminated in Jennifer seeking an emergency custody order for their 5 children to get them away from her husband, who was like losing it. So naturally, the Connecticut State Police got involved, started investigating Dulos and his live-in girlfriend, Michelle Troconis. And these people, the husband and the husband's girlfriend, are terrible at murder. Police searched Michelle Troconis' house, and they actually find a handwritten page of notes where she and her boyfriend have basically written a script with all of their alibis. And this was like weeks after the disappearance. So they had written down all their alibis together and then kept the paper, couldn't even be bothered to like memorize the story and burn the paper. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, you shouldn't be committing murder, clearly.
Right. Yeah, it's just the laziness offends me. Anyway, most of Troconis' alibis don't even hold up to questioning because she changes her story every time she talks to the cops. She just cannot keep her story straight. But one of the few consistent things about her story to the police is that on the morning of May 24th, which is the morning after Jennifer Dulos' disappearance, Troconis went to the Simsbury Stop and Shop to take selfies with Marty.
That's really specific.
Every time they ask her about May 24th, she says, well, I was definitely at the Stop and Shop. These are the clothes I was wearing, and I took a selfie with Marty at exactly 9:17, and I posted it to Instagram. So you can't have been burying a body or anything because there's all this evidence that I was at Stop and Shop. If I was on trial for murder and I could prove my innocence just by showing the judge that I took a selfie with Marty, I would take that selfie to my grave. It's just like too embarrassing for it to be on the public record that I, as a grown adult, drove to Stop and Shop to take a picture with fucking Marty. Just send me to prison.
Yeah, so the next time that I hear that you had done that, I'd be like, oh, yeah, Dan definitely murdered somebody.
Yep.
You gotta investigate that guy.
Yeah, thanks for covering for me, Jackie.
Yeah.
I wish I could have found the actual selfie for you, but I spent a good hour digging through court filings and also the still active Justice for Michelle Troconis Instagram account that protests her innocence. But it seems to be sadly lost to time. Anyway, there's a lot's been written about Marty, especially from the point of view that it replaces workers. But what strikes me most in reading about Marty is how much Marty doesn't replace workers. You know, it doesn't do anybody's actual job. It doesn't fix the incorrect prices. It just makes reports and it tells humans to go fix the prices. It doesn't clean up spills. It calls a human over to clean up the spill. It's not a virtual teammate, as Stop and Shop's PR machine is so fond of calling it. It's a virtual boss.
Yeah. Yeah. It's telling people what to do.
Like it's somebody's boss, which fucking sucks, and is a pretty widespread situation and becoming more widespread in the modern world. I think like a business gets a new piece of technology, all management sees is the costs and benefits, right? It's like it costs $50,000 and it lowers our legal exposure by this much and prevents this many lost sales per month or whatever. Meanwhile, the worker is concerned mainly with doing what Marty says. When Marty stops and flashes yellow and a worker has to come press the button or get it to shut the fuck up somehow, Marty sees that there's items out of stock on aisle 12, a worker has to go restock them. And everybody becomes completely alienated from the fundamental social aim of having grocery stores in the first place, which is to feed people who need food.
I could take instructions from someone who had googly eyes.
Absolutely. They could, how much money could they save if they would just get rid of Marty and give all of the managers googly eye glasses, right?
Then I would definitely go back to Stop and Shop.
Yeah. I'd be on the Instagram, engaging with the Instagram content.
Yeah.
Write this down. It's a great idea. Except I would want my kid to hug the manager with googly eyes even less than Marty. So maybe that doesn't
That's really
work.
fair. That's really fair. Maybe we just don't do any of this.
Maybe we just now don't have supermarkets anymore. I don't know. Just spitballing. Anyway, so far in 2026, the Stop and Shop Instagram account has made at least 6 Marty related posts. One of these was like a congratulations on the 100th day of school e-card with a picture of Marty dressed up like a school teacher. When I told my mother-in-law about this, who's the sweetest person in the world and never says anything unkind, she said, they should just shoot him. Suzanne, I know you're listening, and you're so right. They should just shoot him.
They just gave him a gun. He could do it himself.
Yeah, but they need to rebrand the patrol bot ritual suicide bot. Now we're on to something.
Think about the PR.
Yeah, if Marty self-immolated, that would be the biggest story in Connecticut news for a month.
Would be. Yeah.
There would be celebrations in the street. They just don't have the balls. Thanks so much, Jackie, for being on this podcast. This has been very silly, and I've had a great time telling you about this useless toaster. I hope you've had fun too.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me.
Maybe when we do the self-checkout episode, we can have you back on.
I'd love to do that.
Yes, good. All right, it's a date. All right, listeners. Well, I'm on vacation for the next 2 weeks, so no new episodes until March 25th, when we'll be back with a 2-parter on Elon Musk's incredible Holocaust-denying AI chatbot Grok. And until then, I remain your host, Dan Slimman, and this remains the internet's only techno-pessimist podcast, Technology Blows.
A real positive one.